When you think about RV life, what do you normally think about? You think about all the Instagram moments that you see, especially the van life, hashtag van life pictures all over Instagram and all over social media, and even some of the pictures I show, right? You think about all the beautiful views and all the beautiful places that you get to visit, quiet and solitude and serenity of many of the places that you see that I have visited. But you don't often think about places like this. And this is where I woke up this morning. This was my home for the night on the street, and you don't often think about that. And that's why in today's video, I'm going to talk to you about another reality of RV life. I'm going to share with you what happened to me this week, the challenges that I faced, of the realities of RV life. There's no other way to put it. And I'm going to share with you what made me think, maybe for the first time since I've been on the road, what the heck am I doing? Why am I doing this? Yeah, it's been one of those weeks. And stay tuned because I'm going to tell you all about it.
Ain't nobody gonna do it for you. Got to find your own.
Hi friendlies, I'm Carolyn and welcome back to my RV life. And today is a kind of a reality check of what RV life really is like sometimes. I'm really fortunate in that, I don't know, 40, maybe 42 weeks a year, maybe 45 weeks a year, I get to do whatever I want, go wherever I want. And that means that I get to spend time in relative quiet and solitude, which I love. A lot of people have been asking me lately how I deal with being alone, and maybe you've missed, I've done a lot of videos on loneliness on the road, and I just don't get lonely, so I like my solitude. Maybe 10 weeks a year, I need to kind of come out of the woods and do things. See the people I care about, run errands, do doctor's appointments, and just do things that you do in a normal life. And oftentimes around those things that I want to do, because I want to see the people I love, I want to see my friends and take care of my health and things like that. But often around that, it feels the longer I'm out, the longer I spend time, you know, in the slow country roads and living on in national forests where it's really quiet, the harder it is for me to come back into big towns and big cities. And for me, it may not be the same for you, depending on where you're coming from and where you go to see the people that you love. But for me, they're very, very busy big cities. It's San Francisco Bay Area for one, you know, some areas in Oregon for another. And so that brings me to this week, my moment of this week feeling like, okay, you know what, I'm done. Why am I living in an RV? This can be really hard. And I'm like, wah. You know, I mean, I had a couple of challenging days. But really, it was more than a couple challenging days since I left Mammoth Lakes, and I haven't even gotten to those videos yet. But I don't know, maybe a month ago, maybe 5-6 weeks ago, I left Mammoth Lakes. I have been traveling a lot. I've been in the Bay Area. I've been visiting friends in Oregon, and I've been either driveway surfing or staying on the street in front of people's house, or stealth camping, or staying in campgrounds, or in these very urban areas. But one of the challenges that I want to just kind of make you aware of, because I met, first of all, a huge shout out to my friend Deborah Dickinson. And if you haven't checked out her channel, do so below. She's got a YouTube channel. She lives in a van, solo woman, and is thriving, living on the road. And she did she's a good friend of mine. She did a meetup for her viewers yesterday and invited me graciously to come along. And so I invited patrons. And so we had a little meet and greet yesterday in Oregon with my patrons and her viewers, and it was a lot of fun. So click the link below. She's going to do a video, and for all the patrons I met, hi, and thank you so much. And so the patrons, and whenever I meet viewers, a lot of you are either just starting out, or you've been out a while, or you're building. Hi, Lauren. You're already building. And you have a lot of questions about this life. And so I'm going to kind of shed some realities on this life today when you're not in the woods, when you do need to come out of the woods. And one of the biggest challenges I've had the last week or so is that I have been in a very populated area. And so boondocking has been really challenging. And just to give you an example, one night I stayed at a spot that was, you know, it was okay. I found it. I had driven around, I don't know, maybe an hour and a half trying to find a place to camp, to spend the night that felt safe, that I could drive on. The roads are very windy, very narrow, so it's also very stressful driving for my RV. And I finally found a place that I was like, okay, I can spend the night here. Well, the next morning I had to go into town. I had a bunch of appointments. I had to take a shower. And for some reason, I didn't feel like taking a shower. I didn't feel comfortable taking a shower in that spot that I was in. So I was like, you know what? It's like a half-hour drive to town. I know there's a lot of roads that I can explore. There's a lot of national forest. There's some parks. I'll go find a place just to park, just for an hour, just to take a shower. Well, an hour and a half later, and a lot of driving around, literally an hour and a half just to try to find a place to park for an hour to take a shower. Sure, I could have gone to Walmart, but I don't like showering in Walmart, you know, in the parking lot of Walmart. I like to be able to open all my windows. I like to be able to open my door. When I shower, I have to take a bunch of crap out of my shower. My rig gets really crowded. And I think maybe I'm a little claustrophobic because it feels a little claustrophobic in there. My goal was to find some place that didn't have a lot of traffic, you know, that I might be able to just not deal with people being around while I showered, and then to be able to grab my coffee, you know, in my robe or whatever, and go outside and enjoy the morning before I started my day. That was my vision for the day. And it didn't work out that way. Like I said, I drove around an hour and a half. I drove up mountain roads and to parks, and one boat ramp I went to, I was looking at Google Maps, and I'm like, that'll be a great place, a boat ramp. Well, it was a fee area. And I could have looked it up ahead of time, but I didn't. And I was like, I'm not paying $5 or $7 just to park for an hour to take a shower. So then there was another park down the road, so another 10 miles down the road, and that park also had a fee, a day use fee. So I did end up actually in the parking lot of Rite Aid to take my shower. But that's just a really good example of some of the things, an hour and a half driving around just to find a place that I felt comfortable and safe to take a shower before I started my day in town of errands. And that's just, and I was telling this story to some friends last night, some people who've been on the road a long time, and they were all shaking their heads, yep, everybody has been there. And so I thought, you know what, why not share this with my audience? Why not share this with you so that you can maybe get a better grasp of some of the things that you might face when you're living on the road. I mean, it's a fact of life. Sometimes we have to come into town. And then I went into town that day. I ran a bunch of errands. And like I said, I wasn't really comfortable staying on the road that I had been staying on the night before. So after 4 or 5 hours in town running errands, getting stuff done, I had to repeat. I had to do the same thing all over again. I kind of knew where I was going on that one. It was just, it did end up being an hour's drive. I thought it would be a lot closer. So I had to drive another hour up more windy mountain roads to find a place to camp for the night. And that was actually a really nice secluded spot. I really enjoyed being there. But it's been, I don't know, it feels like a week of constant get up and move, get up and move, get up and explore. Where am I going to sleep? Where am I going to shower? Where am I going to go? And it just feels like it's been not just a week of that. It feels like it's been several weeks of that because of just this leg of my travels is always like that. Going up through Oregon, I'm going up through California, going up through Oregon. It's not, you know, it's not the BLM middle of nowhere desert in Nevada. It's populated, and so that's always going to be more challenging. And that brings me to today and how I ended up here. Well, I have had a little bit of an infection on my arm the last few days, a skin infection I don't really want to go into detail about now. And it's been getting worse the last couple of days, and I kept thinking, well, you know, I'll keep trying this, I'll try that, and I don't need to go to the doctors. And so yesterday, after meet and greet with my patrons, I had plans to drive an hour out to a camp that I love and to meet another group of friends. And by the time I got out to that other camp, it was like 5 o'clock, and I showed them the infection on my arm, and it had gotten worse since I left my first group. And they were like, oh my gosh, yeah, you know what, that should probably be seen. And I was like, you know, really? And they were like, yeah. And it really was. By the time I got out there, it was on fire. It had spread. It was super red and dark, and it was looking pretty bad. And so they convinced me to drive an hour back into town to go to urgent care. And so that's what I did last night. And I wanted to talk about this because a lot of you ask, what happens if you get sick on the road? And I didn't honestly know what to do. So I'm very grateful to my friends who just like picked up their phones and found me an urgent care place, because I wouldn't have known. I guess I probably just would have gone to an emergency room because my insurance is in Nevada, and I guess I probably would have started there. I would have started with my insurance. I would have gone to the website I had internet up there. I would have gone to the website to see, or maybe even called an advice nurse there to see what they recommended. And that would have taken a little bit longer. But my friends just picked up the phone and said, here, just go to urgent care. And I walked in. I drove an hour back. So I didn't get here till about 6:30. An hour back to where I had start the afternoon. And came to urgent care, and they got me right in right away, prescribed me an antibiotic, and sent me on my way. But by the time I got out of there, it was close to 8 o'clock. I needed to stick around because I need to pick up a prescription today. And so rather than drive an hour back to my camp and then drive an hour back into town, I decided just to stealth camp, which was another hour, yes, of driving around trying to find a place to camp. And again, I could have gone to an RV park, and I thought about it. I passed one in, but I don't know. I didn't want to go. You know, if I can find a place like this is, it's Sunday, so this is, an industrial medical area, and I found street parking. It's one of the few streets I was able to find that didn't have no parking signs, and it was quiet, and I'm able to come out here in the morning, and I'm able to film, and there was a little bit of traffic that went by, but nothing super loud at all. So it was really quiet out here. And I don't know, I would rather do this, even if I have to drive around for an hour. I would rather do this than stay in an RV park. I don't know why. I mean, I don't know. I'm just not a fan of RV parks. I don't know. But, that might be an option for you. And I think most sane people would probably do that, right? If you've been in town and you've had a long day, just go to an RV park. But nope, not me. I don't know why. And yeah, so I ended up spending the night here, and today I'm going to go pick up my prescription and head back to camp. Okay, so here we are at Walmart. I've got all my paperwork to go get my prescription. They said they called it in last night, but the pharmacy was closed last night, so hopefully I won't have to wait too long to pick it up today. And you might be asking, I may have already addressed this, but you might be asking, why don't you just stay at Walmart? Well, if you've been watching me for a while, you know I absolutely abhor Walmart. I hate Walmart. I would rather stay almost anywhere else than Walmart. I don't know why. It's just, again, they're one of those things why I don't go to a campground when that would be the easiest thing to do. But you'll notice, I don't know if you can see behind me, in this Walmart, you can't overnight park anyway. And that's happening more and more. And maybe that's part of the reason I avoid Walmart. I avoid, really popular spots, because as more of us come out here and do that, as more of us come out here and live this life, everybody seems to flock to all the same areas, and those areas are getting closed down, and that's not good for anyone. And so I want to just kind of blend in, go off the beaten path, and find my own way and find my own places. I think that if we continue to spread out and not go where everybody goes, we attract less attention to ourselves, and it sustains this lifestyle for more of us, in my humble opinion. But anyway, looking at a guy who's just kind of wandering around, and I'm out here with my camera, so that always makes me a little nervous. So I'm gonna go inside now and finish. I don't know if I brushed my teeth yet, but finish up before I go inside. All right. Well, bummer. It looks like I'm here too early. That's a first for me. So what time is like 9:30? They probably don't open till like 10. So I could go sit in the rig and wait and stand in line. I don't need to shop. Okay, that was easy. Right in, right out. It was ready, which is always good. And now I get to get out of Dodge. Okay, awesome. That was easy. It's barely after 10 o'clock and I am done in the city. And now I can go and find home for a while and decompress from all this reality checking, I guess. I have an hour. I think it's worth showing you another reality. When you're on the move a lot, like a lot, I'm trying to think. I was at a friend's house for about almost 10 days, and I was able to, spread out and put things away. But when you're moving around a lot, I just thought I would show you the reality of the mess that I have in my rig. And one of the things that I'm kind of challenged with right now is getting ready for my hike and having all of my backpacking gear out and spread out. It's a lot more challenging in a smaller space to do things like this. And to prepare for a trip, when I have all my backpacking gear all over the place, I always have camera gear just strewn about my rig. And when I'm on the road a lot and just having to stuff stuff away and then unpack it to make coffee or lunch, and it's a little messy. So it's very messy right now. So I do look forward to staying put. I'm all supplied up. I have everything. The other day I went and dumped my tanks, and I have full water and propane. So I do look forward to staying put for a while. But let me show you. But this is my messy rig right now. And I'm showing you this because this is reality. When you're moving a lot, unless you're a total neat freak and you spend time, keeping your place extremely neat and clean, and even then, when you're moving a lot, I stuff everything in the sink so that it doesn't go flying all over the place. My baskets are flying all over the place because after my friend Christy traveled with me, I never secured these with a bungee cord like I normally do because we had to break this down every night for a bed. My baskets are flying all over the place. I mean, you should have seen it in here yesterday. I was driving all day and I had everything just all over the floor. And this is one of the things that I look forward to being able to stay put for a while. I do like to have my home in order, kind of in my messy chaos, but at least it's in some kind of order. And I pull out all the rugs and I sweep and I wipe down all the counters. So I start every new boondocking session with a clean slate. And I look forward to getting to camp and doing that and getting organized, putting things away, securing things down that haven't been able to get secured down. And so reality check. I've said this in other videos, it's crowded, and living in a small space, it's a lot harder to keep it clean. You would think a smaller space is easier to keep clean, but it's not, because you're in a tiny space. So a tiny mess is a big mess. If you live in 3,000 square feet and, and your kitchen is a mess, you can just close the door and you still have the rest of the house. But in here, if my kitchen is a mess, my whole place is a mess. So I'm in a smaller space, and small messes are big messes. So it really is a little bit more challenging. If you're a neat freak, it's going to be more challenging to always feel, I think, comfortable in your space because it is so small. Gonna go ahead and start my antibiotic right away. All right, let's go to camp. One of the days I had to drive around a lot to find a camping spot. There's a lot of national forests around here, but it's up very steep, very narrow roads oftentimes. And my transmission, I thought it was my transmission, was making like really loud noise, and it felt like it wouldn't shift. And I finally realized yesterday it was something about my air conditioning. When I turned my air conditioner off, it stopped doing it. So that was just another stress for me. You're always wondering what's gonna happen. Is the rig gonna break down? And I'm super tuned in and hyper aware of everything. I know exactly how my rig drives, and I know all its noises. And so when something is out of the ordinary, I notice it, and it just adds a little bit of stress. I'm not complaining. I love my life. I have a great life, and just some days, you get stressed out. And I think, like I said, I think the longer I live this life, the more I come into cities and have to deal with traffic and noise and not being able. You know what? As a matter of fact, let me think about this. I think I might go through this every year around this time. I spend 4 or 5 months in the desert, tons of BLM land, tons of quiet, tons of solitude, not overly populated, and then I come back up here and I have to deal with a lot of peopling again. You know what? I think that's it. So maybe this is just an annual thing, and now that I'm aware of it, I'll know and maybe plan for it a little bit better. But yeah, so being tuned into the rig is always something that we do, and every little noise is just another stress. Is it gonna break? Oh my gosh. But honestly, I notice now that I just have to go uphill and turn off my air conditioning. It's too hard on my engine or something. I don't know. Those of you who are mechanics probably know what that means a lot better than I do. But you know how when you go uphill, it always says turn off your air conditioning to avoid overheating. So something is running. I don't know anything about mechanics, but so just another word to you, if you're driving an RV, you might want to, and you're going up hills, you might just want to go ahead and turn off the air conditioning, not only for overheating, but it sounds like it might have been overworking something else. So, all right, I'm going to drive now. To home for a while, and I'm gonna stay put. I got here several hours ago and I did a little bit of organizing and putting stuff away, and then I had to sit right down and start editing this video. And I noticed a couple things as I'm editing. I'm really sorry, the selfie on my new cell phone camera is gonna take some getting used to, so I'm not looking at you. It looks like, I mean, I'm looking at one of the cameras, I'm gonna have to look at it, and also things are backwards, so I'm sorry that might be a little distracting, but I'll play with it a little bit better so that when I'm using that on the trail, we won't have those issues. But welcome home. Ta-da! Welcome home. I have to stay out of the sun with the antibiotics, so I'm going to be careful. And I'm also barefoot. But, oh, where's the sun? All right, so this is home, and I'm really excited that I get to just stay put. I don't have to move for a while, and I really need to just stay here and work a lot. I have about a month or so before I start the trail, so I have a lot to do, and I look forward to just hanging out. One of the things that I realized on my drive up here that I kind of wanted to touch on again that I said in the video, I think what I'm dealing with is the transition between my winter life and my summer life. And when I was thinking about it, I think I go through this every year. The transition from the big, wide, open space of the desert into the forest, which is not so open. You've got the trees, and yeah, there are more people up in the Pacific Northwest. And I know from the years that I've been in therapy that transitions are something that I really have to pay attention to. That you have to kind of prepare for them sometimes, because especially when you're going from extremes, going from the extreme of the desert to the forest, going from the extreme of being desolate and being very rural and not being really crowded to the city. And for every major transition in my life, I've had to work with my therapist because she's pointed out you're going into another transition, so what can we do to prepare? And I think I just realized it shooting this video today, that I think part of the stress I'm feeling is just the stress of transitioning from the desert, transitioning from my winter life to my summer life, which is always more travel. It's always busier. So I'm always going to have more traffic, more people, more stuff to do. And I'm sharing this like I share with everything, because I know that when I share stuff like this, people are helped by it. And maybe this will give you food for thought, not only in your RV life when you get out there, if you're already out here, but in your regular life. Going from one stage of life or one stage of seasons, or from one thing, whether it's changing jobs, whether it's changing houses and changing cities, transitions can be very challenging. And so it makes sense that I have been a little stressed, because I have been traveling a lot, and it's just a lot different from what I've been doing the last 4 or 5 months in the desert. So, something for you to think about as well. And the best way to deal with transition is to be aware, I'm coming into a transition, and learning what you need to do to prepare for it. And now that I'm recognizing that, I might need to start preparing for the transition between the desert and my summer life from now on. And I bet if I look at videos, I got really stressed out last year too. And maybe that means I can come up here slower, take my time, which is hard because I'm always on my way somewhere. Summer is when I start doing my adventures. Last time weeks and weeks and weeks of travel to get up to Alaska. And this time I was in a hurry to get up here so that I could start preparing for my hike. But that doesn't mean there aren't things that I can't do to prepare, so that maybe next year I don't have to go through this stress. And just food for thought for you as well. No matter what phase of your life you're in, recognize that transitions can cause stress and start creating a plan to deal with that stress and to deal with that transition and to ease into it and not go from extremes, not go from one extreme to another. In becoming a healthier human being and not falling into patterns and habits of my past that, you know, and it may be stress or whatever, the things that made me turn to unhealthy behaviors before, I've had to really learn how to kind of be aware of myself and my body and what's going on with me so that I can say, oh, okay, it's that, and recognize it and take care of myself, not only in the moment, but in the future. How is that for a reality check? So this is my reality. The day started off stealth camping on the street and it ended here. And I'm happy. And I need to put this video to rest and get it up for you. And I will see you all soon. In the meantime, be happy, be free, and be kind. Mwah. Take care. Thank you for being here.